Hi everyone, how you doing? I'm Clara Barker, and today I'm reviewing a solo board game, and the game is called Final Girl. And Final Girl, I'm reviewing it. I'm reviewing the core box along with one of the movies. In this case, Camp Happy Trails, and I'll explain why I have packaged it with this particular movie and why you need both as we go along. I'll explain what it is. It's set on the 80s horror slasher movie tropes, which is a genre that I like. But even if you don't like the genre, it's not really gruesome, so you might still like it. Even if you don't like solo games, you might still like it. And I'm not necessarily a solo game player myself, so yeah, I'll talk about what it does, how it does it, and like I say, I'm going to package these two together. But then I'll explain about what else there is out there. So yes, Final Girl is the sort of game, a bit like Time Stories, where you need the core box. Although with Time Stories you did get one scenario, with this you don't get a scenario, which I'm not sure how I feel about that, if I'm honest. I think it would be nice if it had something in the box that you could play. And then, actually, I think that these two together would probably be a good match. But then you also get these downloadable, that's not the right word, these plug-in modules. And these are sort of different movies, and they feature different enemies, they feature different final girls, and they feature different scenarios. So you can basically you take the box set and then you can mix and match. You can mix, the setting of Camp Happy Trails with the final girl from one of the other missions with the big bad from one of the other modules. So you can mix them. There is a bit of that going on, but you do, like I say, need the core box. Now the core box is a beautiful set. It's got a beautiful clasp on it. It opens up really nicely and holds together, and it's not a huge size. And inside, everything is packaged really well. There's a really nice container with the dice and everything like that. So I understand why you need the core box, and I can understand why it wouldn't necessarily be a good idea to package these components in the other boxes. But at the same time, I sort of wish that, like I say, this had its own module in it, and I do wonder whether that's not going to be a negative thing. But then you also get a horror board. But then you need the modules. So this is, I'm trying to sort of show you all this. And again, the production on these modules is really glorious as well. So what's nice is you've got these two clasps, and these come off. So one side will be your map. This is Camp Happy Trails. There we go. And it's got some components inside. And the other side comes off as well, and that will be your enemy board. So, like I say, you can mix and match your enemies. You can mix and match your final girl. So there are some cards in this for the final girl as well that you can use with others. And there's two final girls in here. And Final Girl is playing off, like, in the 80s slasher horror movies, it's, the final girl that survives. So, what you're doing in this game, it's a nice little puzzle game. It's sort of 20 to 60 minutes. I think that once you're used to it, and if you're playing some of the simpler modules, then you'll probably be heading towards 20 minutes. And you have a deck of cards. You're playing cards, and those get used up, and then you will have certain units that you can, in this case, time that you can use to buy cards for your next round. And then once you've done that, then the enemy, the bad person, will go. And so they might be going around, and they'll either be trying to find you, or they'll be trying to find, random general people, population. In this case, with Camp Happy Times, it is campers and counselors who are all panicking and running around, and he'll go after them and try and kill them, and try and kill you. And the as you can probably guess from the theme, the general meeples are all pretty squishy. One hit and they're down, whereas you can take a few more hits than that. But to be honest, you're probably going to be wanting to run away. The final, the bad person in Camp Happy Trails does hit pretty hard, if I'm honest. And so, yeah, you're running around trying to save these people, trying to build up some weapons, and then you're trying to kill the bad person. And so I showed you the map a little bit earlier. You're running around this campsite, and maybe you can find stuff in the dock or whatever it is. And yeah, so you play your cards, you buy cards for the next round, and then the enemy goes and tries to kill a whole bunch of people, and that will up the horror level and things like that. And when you're playing these cards, you don't automatically get to do them. You've got to roll dice, the horror dice, to see whether you succeed or not. So it's not guaranteed that just clever card play won't necessarily do it, because there's also an aspect of luck as well. And sometimes you can mitigate that luck, and sometimes you can't. It's an interesting game. And I think that the core rules, the core mechanics work really well. There's a chance to have a special meeple, someone that you particularly have got to save or rescue or whatever. And then there's a whole bunch of different items that you can get, and you get new items with each module. And you'll get new actions maybe, and the enemies have a choice of different special actions that will come up at certain points. So they'll have a final, the final version of themselves where they have some big sweeping action that really is devastating, and different actions that they'll gain as they go along as the horror level rises. But you, as a final girl, will also hopefully upgrade so that you have like a power as well, and that's part of what's different for each of the different final girls, and you gain that by saving, in this case, the campers and counselors. So the actual game is great. The first few times I didn't do too well, but then once I got used to it, it's not easy, but and like I say, the fact that there's different potential outcomes in terms of what the boss will do and how they'll do it, and also just plain luck from the terror deck. You draw from a terror deck, and that'll give an action that happens each round. So there is an aspect of luck, and so sometimes you'll run through and it'll be really easy, and sometimes the cards will just be against you. But I think that once you're used to it, you can mitigate that. Now, why is it that I am pairing the core box with the Final Girl Camp Happy Trails? Well, I actually bought the core box with one of the other modules, and that one had a whole bunch of extra rules. So these modules all have, they may or may not have extra rules. And I bought one of the others that did, and it was really complicated. And whilst you're getting used to it, used to the system, I think that there's something nice about being able to play a simpler module, and that's what Camp Happy Trails is. It's a simpler module. Now, I like the final girls in this. I tend to play Nico quite a bit as my choice of final girl, but this one doesn't add any extra rules. So I bought this other one that had loads of extra rules, and to be honest, I was just getting squashed. I was just dying left, right, and center, and I just wasn't really getting anywhere. And I looked up and saw that this is probably the best module to get as a starter module. But this is where, like I say, I think it would be nice to have this incorporated into the core box, because I'd already bought the core box and a module, and then I ended up having to buy another module before I'd even got the chance to play it, which was a little bit frustrating for me. I will say that again, the packaging's gorgeous, but sometimes when you're using these boards, they don't necessarily go flat, which is a little bit annoying. It'll flip up, and I find that a little bit frustrating. It could maybe have just been, magnetic, the top bit. I don't know. And also, you have components in one side of the box and in the other side of the box. And that is really weird. I don't see why they couldn't have all been on the same side of the box. You could still take the top and the bottom off, but then you wouldn't have to flip the box to get more modules. It's just, I don't know, it feels really weird having to constantly sort of change it when you're setting up, flip the box and stuff. And it's a minor thing, and it probably won't bother you, but it bothers me a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. So yeah, this is really good fun. I'm not really a solo player, but this certainly fills a gap, and I can play, and if I just want to play a quick game, it's better than, for me, it's, I don't really play filler games on the computer. Now, the truth is that if I was playing a solo board game, I'd probably want to play something like Mage Knight or Sleeping Gods, where I'm getting involved in a big, huge, expansive campaign. I don't often play little filler solo games. But it's nice to have, and I think that I will play it. Will I return to Camp Happy Trails? I don't know. I don't know whether I'm not going to prefer the puzzle of the other modules. And like I say, I've got two, and I'll do a review of each of those separately. But I don't know. I think that maybe I'm not going to play this module too much now that I'm comfortable with the rules and go on to the others where there's extra rules and a little bit more going on. So, but in terms of what the core box does, in terms of the core games, I think there's room for a lot of expansion, and I'm really curious to see where this goes. It's a beautiful production, and it is a fun game. I sort of wish there was the option of being able to play it single or dual player. I realise it's a solo game, it's been designed as that, but I sort of want to be able to play it as a dual player because I think I'll probably play it more. And like I say, I don't know whether I'm necessarily going to play this module anymore, even though I do like the final goals. I might put them into some of my other modules. So, yes, that's me. Thanks so much for watching. Maybe like, subscribe, and until next time, bye.